Boom, okay, we're live. We're gonna try something new today because we're using a nicer camera. So that's exciting. We're gonna be taking a look at Ethereum and Bitcoin. We're gonna be doing some comparative analysis against those two. So stick around to the end of the video because it is important, or maybe not, I don't know. That's up for you to decide what you think is important, but right now, I think is a pivotal moment through the study that we've been doing with the Wyckoff analysis, our trading range, and the fundamentals of what happens when the supply and demand curve changes and demand overtakes supply. Well, that is what we would simplify down to a bull market, and it is just starting. So we're gonna zoom out a little bit on how things are going, and we're gonna dive into the markets. So I have Ethereum open on the daily right now, and one of the reasons why we like to start on the daily is because it gives us the full picture, and instead of getting overhyped and overexcited about the things that are happening in the market, it gives us a clear, calm strategy to find out where we would like to be sitting for a lot of this market focus and how we would like to be entering our positions. Now, we are still in an accumulation range. Now, for those of you that are in the private bear den, or for those of you that are not, I would like you to note very specifically that an accumulation range is just for that, so accumulation. So remember, on this left-hand side, we have our phase A, our phase B, our C is the spring, and D is this nice area of a test in the LPS. This is where we are getting most of our valuable data from, because it is a time when the smaller fish that are not the whales, such as myself, can enter the markets and do something useful without having to get drug around. So what I think becomes, again, important, again, this is up for you to decide whether you think this is important or not, is really understanding the emotional things that happen in a trade that basically end up screwing yourself over. Now, mindset of trading is extremely important. So where are we in the markets? Well, if we know that we went from a phase C, spring, through the box D, out in an SOS in Ethereum, as we've been noticing, into this reaccumulation pattern, although it's not as strong as I would have originally liked to see, again, which we've gone over in the private den with what type of reaccumulation schematic this actually is, it still has the very real potential of bringing us to around $545 is one of the major areas, followed by 680 up through 820 approximately on the 4236, the 3618, and the 2618 as an extension from the full area of this accumulation range. Now, this is also a movement through space and time, so we have to assume that it probably starts into and then falls down before March. So we do see somewhat of a fall before spring, still one more time, before we see a fundamental move up further, maybe as high as $800 into the springtime. Now, that, as I've drawn it in, probably could take us all the way into November of next year to get that high, or maybe even higher. But that would be a very, very high extension of this bull market. But here it is. It appears to be starting. So as we zoom in on the smaller time frame here, two of the things I think that are important, and we've gone over this a few times, is that Ethereum has outpaced Bitcoin to the US dollar this year. So from the spring to where we are now in Ethereum is approximately a 260% gain versus Bitcoin at around 140% gain. Now, both of these, at least from a trader or a speculator's perspective, should be taken into account. Now, do I have conjecture that that will stay the same? No, I'm not really interested in if Ethereum will outpace Bitcoin unless I make Ethereum the alpha, which I'm not going to do because it just doesn't have the trading pairs. But I do believe DeFi is going to become extremely important, so I have it drawn up as high as $3,000 over the next 5 to 10 years for Ethereum. So again, remember, accumulation, even in the SOSs and the backup phases for the big money, is just that. Adding more to the lockup portfolio before the real big curve into demand and diminished supply occurs. So as we look at the 4 hour, we get a little closer. One of the things we sent out in our private newsletter yesterday is this quick return that we would expect to see on the well, I've got it on the 45-minute here. It gives a bit more data, but it's probably just as easy to see on the 4 hour, which is that if you've been staying and studying along with all of our Wyckoff phases, we've got a reaccumulation pattern that started up here came back here into a weakness, broke its creek. Now it's come back up, done its SOS, and now it's continuing into a backup. Now we've got a very strong line of support on the VPVR here at around $396, and we've stepped it up against 420, which was the previous basic resistance before, just into the bottom of that area. So I do suspect that what we're going to see is the backup phase onto the top of the trading range, very similar to what we were looking at again on the much bigger time frame of here's the trading range, and here's actually the backup that we're in now, pretty much to the top of the trading range, but with a very, very limited spread through, mostly only the first box of regression, which you can see highlighted here now. So what does this mean? Well, effectively, we've been counting this bull market steps forward pretty much every step of the way, and I've been getting more and more confident about what one can do with a proper trade bucket and leverage. Now, I don't suggest this to anyone. As a matter of fact, I suggest against anyone do anything like this kind of stuff. I do believe that if you understand very specifically what you're trying to do from a broad spectrum, is make sure that you're buying when people are fearful and you're selling when people are euphoric. That's the real killer of the game. It's one of the hardest things to do because it means going against some of your human nature. But here's the trading the analysis, the fundamentals are not the right word, but the logical way to see where we are in the market without being too emotional. Now, putting a lot of money on the line makes it emotional, so use a stop loss. And I'm going to kind of leave it at this, but I'm also going to look at Bitcoin too, just to round out that same thesis on Ethereum, which is that we are in phase D. We are going through the first stages of the SOS. We'll probably back check the box here, maybe even to the entirety of this new trading regression line that we're in before checking the last one, before coming back down to test. Now again, I do speculate that it could go actually higher than this trading range and then form a more solid trading range here between $14,000 and $15,000 with a hypodermic top maybe as high as $16,000 before coming back down to back test, produce our backup phase, and then start the real bull market somewhere out in the springtime, ladies and gentlemen. So anyways, we're going to leave it at that. I hope you guys liked today's episode. Remember to subscribe, share the videos. That's one real big way to help out. Remember that we're going to be doing our Kiva campaign, so join the Kiva links in arcanebear.com/Kiva, and we can all make some loans together. Again, I love Kiva. We've got BlockFi now as a partner for those episodes too, so a fun way for us to grow the marketing and build kind of a decentralized focus on, well, let's help the underbanked and underserved. We'll make that a primary goal of us collaborating together. And I want to thank all of you, your supportive Bear family, for constantly clicking the like button, leaving your thoughtful comments, and being so supportive of the work we do. It means a lot. If you like this new camera upgrade thing, I'll just keep ranting here for a minute. If you like the new camera upgrade thing, let me know, and I will continue to edit videos like this, where I'm like, oh, there's some zoom effect. Oh, I can zoom in too. What? Okay, we'll see you guys again on the next episode.